What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com. My name is Sean Sheehan, and I am back with another betting show as we really kick into the year now in the world of mixed martial arts. No UFC this weekend, but we have a really good PFL card, which I'm going to talk about mostly here. But there's also a KSW card this weekend, and I'm going to give you a bet for that. I promise this year I'm going to change things up a bit and do things a little bit differently. So we did a little bit of that last week, and we have another little bit of that this week. So stay tuned for that in a second. But as always, let's look back at last week before we get to next week, and please bet responsibly as well as we start out the betting show here. Last week was absolutely decimated for us by the late change. Obviously, we had a Dariush bet, we had a Makhachev bet. Both of those didn't end up happening, obviously, because of the late injury to Arman Saryukin. So we had Makhachev to win by decision. The fight didn't happen. And we had Dariush to win inside the distance. The fight didn't happen, as well as the flyer. The three other bets, I'll be honest, the Jamal Hill bet, I was okay with. I had my logic. My logic turned out to be wrong. I thought Yuri Prochazka fought very, very well. No problem with that. Kevin Holland, that was, again, I spoke. What was the bet at the end of last year? Oh, there was it was a middleweight fight. What was it? It was Luque against Timber Grimbo. I knew as the fight came, I was like, that was a bad bet. And here, I think we might have the worst bet of the year again here. This was, I know what I was thinking, but it was just totally wrong, totally incorrect to think that way. And like, you look back and the Ritter's price is, what price was Ritter? Minus 150 or something like that. That's, honestly, that's a great price. That was a terrible bet, so I'd like to throw out my apologies for that. But Merab hitting at plus 260 that I gave him last week, I think that's... and actually, do you know what? I gave Merab at plus 260. I looked at it the next day, he was plus 275. I saw on the UFC broadcast, he was plus 230 as they were starting the broadcast. But either way, there was some big, big money to be made in Merab. And... look, it turned out to be a very, very close fight. It came down to the last minute, in my opinion. It came down to the last minute of the fourth and the last minute of the fifth. I had Merab winning, as I think most people did, and the judges did a great job as well. But, yeah, that plus 260 is probably, you know, if we'd an award for obvious bet of the year, obvious insane bet of the year, that's probably it. Because watching tape on that fight, I said it. I did. This is, you know, not being smart afterwards or anything, but watching tape on that, it's like Umar just doesn't have the skill set yet to like cause Merab so many problems that he should be a plus 260 underdog. Like I don't think Merab or Habib or Umar himself would say anything like that even now. I actually thought Umar was I thought Merab was a bit off myself as well. And if they fought again, it'd be interesting to see the prices. Anyway, that is it for last week, and we've only 3 bets to go over. So we usually have a few more, but that is that. So let's get to next week and let's talk about these bets. So I'm going to have one bet from KSW, and then the rest are going to be from the PFL. So let's start with the KSW bet altogether. And what I'm going to do here, I said I'm going to change things up a little bit. I'm going to give you a KSW parlay, even KSW parlay. I'm going to give you a PFL parlay because there are a lot of big favorites here. So we'll try to parlay them up and get the right ones. And then we'll give you the other 3 bets after that. 1 flyer and 2 normal bets. So let's start with the KSW parlay. And as I said, a KSW card that is pretty interesting. And it has like probably flown under the radar for a lot of people. Definitely flown under the radar for me. I was like, is this happening this weekend? I thought it might have been next weekend or something like that. But no, it's a pretty good card all told. There's, as I said, some people in this card you could be seeing a lot of this year. Same goes for, I think, the PFL, and same goes for probably the UFC as well. But the bet I'm going for is I'm going for a parlay, a triple of Paczuski, Muslim, Tulshaev, and Sebastian Przybysz. And it works out a plus 150. So they're all pretty big favorites, minus 400, minus 300, minus 200, respectively. And they're all in very interesting fights. The one the most risky one, I suppose, as we look at the betting there, the minus 200 is Sebastian Przybysz. He's an interesting matchup against Bruno Oviedo, and he's coming off of a couple of. He lost his last fight, but drew the fight before against Jakub Wiślak, and he's fought Wiślak like 10 times now. What have they fought? 4 or 5 times? And he hasn't fought since June of last year. But his skill set is very, very good. You know, we talked about him many times here. His finishing rate, he's, you know, knocks guys out, submits them very good on the ground, very good all around. Just came up against the guy in Wiślak who, you know, he beat once, and then Wiślak got older and improved an awful lot and was able to kind of overtake him, having been in with him a lot. Oviedo on the other side of it, then he's mainly a guy who's going to fight on the ground. You look at his record, 15 submissions, and watching him, he's a guy who, you know, who loves to get the fight to the ground. Came over to KSW for the first time last time out, and he won there. He's had fights in one championship and Road and another place as well. And he's, you know, he's beaten some guys like Alan Nascimento is definitely one of the names on his ledger here. But after that, not a whole lot. You know, he lost to Alessandro Pantoja. And look, he's one of those guys, I think, if you can stop the ground game, stop the submission game, I think you're kind of quids in there. Przybysz has only been submitted once in his career. It just so happened it was the last fight. And that to me may be a positive more than negative, to be honest, because like he will be all out not to get submitted again, I suppose. So that's the first bet. The second bet, Radoslaw Paczuski, a guy who's been around for a while now, even though he's only a 7-2 record. He's fighting Kleber Silva. And the reason I picked him here, he beat Layard Zahudi last time out, who is Zahudi went in and beat Alan van der Merkt after that in KSW at the end of last year. This guy's a real good fighter. For Paczuski to beat him the way he did, knock him out in the first round. You know, the only 2 fights he's ever lost is Materla and Romanovsky. 2 really good fighters. Now, Kleber Silva is a good fighter as well. Don't, you know, make no mistake about that. He's been around for a long time, fought an awful lot in KSW before and in Brave and everything like that. I just think, like, you look at those 14 losses, there's an awful lot of decisions there as well. I think a guy with the skill set of Paczuski, who hits very, very hard, you know, as I said, a lot of finishes, but like he's gone to a decision with Romanovsky. Okay, he lost that decision, but he's able to go into 15 minutes if he needs to, or he's able to finish. I think against a guy like Kleber Silva, who leaves himself very open an awful lot and has a big finishing rate himself, he tends to lose the decisions and win if the fight gets finished. I think it could be on the other side of that here. I think Paczuski might be just a little bit too much for him. A little bit, you know, 6 years younger as well. I think that might tell. So that's that bet. I think the younger guy is the reason I'm going for the other bet as well for Muslim Tulshaev. I haven't seen a whole lot of him before. He's fought in KSW twice. He's fought in Aries a few times as well. You know, he's lost to some good guys. Leandro Domini, former Cage Warriors. Was he the champion, or he was fought a lot in Cage Warriors anyway? You know, but this guy, again, another one of those guys you see kind of coming through Aries an awful lot, really well-rounded and really good. And for Skibinski, I really rate him. I like him an awful lot. He's actually beat Domini twice recently, but, you know, he's won 3 of his last 4, but before that, it was kind of lost 4 of 5, only beating O'Meal Brown. But he's a solid guy. Though I don't really see him, you know, having the skill set to do what you need to do, maybe to beat Tulshaev, which is going to be to get inside the size of him. He's a big guy at 6'3", and Skibinski's only 5'6". You know, kind of he switched stances an awful as well. Plus, if it gets to the ground, he can wrestle. And how many submissions? You have 5 submission wins, and he's 12 wins in his career. I just think it's a tough matchup for Skibinski everywhere. Like, Skibinski's going to need to get him to the cage, hold him there, control him there. I'm not sure he can necessarily do that. So that's why I'm going for Tulshaev. I think he might beat him at range, and if the fight gets to the ground, he might be able to get the submission in there as well. So that's it. That is the parlay from KSW plus 150. Paczuski, Tulshaev, and Przybysz. And other than that, on the KSW card, I don't have a whole lot more for you, I'll be honest. Yeah, I don't know them well enough. The one person I would say, the Victoria Shiwiska, I've seen her fight before. She's minus 400, so not much of a price. She is a good fighter, and I would expect her to win. So maybe if you want to throw another one into a parlay, that would be a good one to throw in. So let's get to the PFL. And I'm going to start here with the parlay as well. And this one is basically around an even money, minus 120-ish type of parlay. The prices have changed a couple of times and will continue to change. But I'm going for Nemkov, Ibragimov, Mitchell, and Akhtamov at around even money. As I said, I'm looking at right here right now, minus 124. When I looked at this last night, it was minus 118. So Nemkov around the minus 1200, which isn't amazing. Ibragimov and Mitchell both around minus 500 to 700-ish. And same with Akhtamov around the minus 500. Look, let's go through them one by one here, I suppose, pretty quickly, and then we'll tell you where they go altogether. Vadim Nemkov against Johnson. If you watch my preview, I think it's going to be very hard for Tim Johnson to land that one big shot that he needs to land. I think Nemkov's technical ability is just going to be too much for him. I think he'll probably end up taking him down if he needs to, but I think before that will come kind of a destruction on the feet as well. The minus 1200, look, obviously we'd stay away from minus 1200 normally, but I don't think it's much of a risk to put it in here. The Akhtamov, I suppose, is the biggest unknown here. He's never fought, and I suppose the big place before. He's fought a few times in LFA, and I know that Scotty Stockman, who he beat, is a good fighter, and he submitted him in less than a minute, and he's been beating a lot of people very quickly. Beat Bruno Carvalho and stuff as well. He looks like a guy who could go to the next level. He really, really does. He's in there with Mike Thompson, who I know has been he's been around again for a while now, fighting out of the UK, and he's fought in some of the good UK promotions like FCC and all that. He actually lost to Shimrock, and Shim is a good fighter, but if you're losing to Shimrock, I don't think you're going to beat Akhtamov, especially Shimrock 2 years ago. I don't think that adds up well. He's a knockout artist. He's 5 knockouts and he's 7 wins, but I feel like he's going to get hit very hard here, probably taken down and probably beaten into oblivion. So, that's that one. The other two bets, John Mitchell's price is a tad high for me at minus 700. A countryman of mine, obviously, and down here from the down in Munster as well. I have a lot of respect for John and watched him for an awful long time as well, and I do think he would win the fight. But I watched a good bit of Sohail Tahiri over the last few years, and this guy is absolutely no joke whatsoever. He's been in there with some good guys. Okay, he's 7-5, but he went to the decision with Mohammed Shafi. He was my fighter of the year last year. He's beat Amit Amir. He won, 2 of his last 3 fights. Absolutely no joke whatsoever. So I don't think he should be underestimated. But at the same time, I think the biggest issue for him in this fight is that his wrestling might be an issue. He's good on the feet, good technical striker, good jab and all of that. But good takedown defense up until a point. And I think what Mitchell does really well is Mitchell's a great striker and he's a great wrestler, and he switches it up really well. Fights different fights very differently, and I think if he can lull him into saying, I'm going to strike with you, I think the takedown will probably be there, and I think Tahiri will suffer, and I think that'll be an issue for him. So going for Mitchell in that one. And then the other one is Ibragim Ibragimov. I pick it against my countryman here in Kenny Makahana, but I think Ibragimov is something special. His wrestling is unbelievable. Obviously he's from Dagestan, but fighting out of Manchester, and he's I'll say it every time, but his brother plays for Man United, and his other brother, I think, is playing for like Man City, I think, or someone like that. This family is a family of athletes, and his wrestling, I think, is just going to be too much for Kenny. Look, Kenny has a chance, absolutely, as anyone has, when you're as good a striker as Kenny is, and Kenny can wrestle as well. His big blip, I suppose, is losing to Josh O'Connor. What did Josh O'Connor do last week? He won the Aries featherweight title. Josh O'Connor is absolutely no joke, and it's no shame to lose that fight at all. But I think it'll be a similar type of fight, to be honest. So we will go with Ibragimov there. So that's the parlay. Around minus 120-ish. And Nemkov, Ibragimov, Mitchell, and Akhtamov. Right, let's get to our other 3 bets. I picked against an Irish lad there a second ago. I'm going to go for an Irish lad here, and I'm going to go for Nathan Kelly. And Again, this is another price that has changed over the last few days. But as I sit here right now, best price is plus 210 on Nathan Kelly. It opened at plus 164, went out to around plus 167, came back in to around plus 170, into 180, and out plus 210. I see some places have it as low as plus 160. So if you can get plus 110, obviously take plus 110. I don't think he'll kill me for saying. I was talking to the Duck, Ian Parker, there yesterday, and we were both kind of discussing how good this price is and how crazy this price is, really, because I think he should be the favourite in this fight, if I'm being honest. Now, I interviewed Nathan as well yesterday as I record this, and he was in great spirits. Doesn't look like the weight cut's cutting him down too much or anything like that. He seems really confident. He's fighting Ahmed Mamedov. It's been he told me he got notice of the change 5 weeks ago. No, I'm not. I'd have to go back and listen, but I don't think he said he got notice of the new opponent necessarily 5 weeks ago. But I think it's not as short notice for either of them as you want to make out, as we maybe had heard, as maybe some people talking about might want to make out, including myself if I hadn't heard that. So I think they both had made adjustments for each other, so we can look at this really comprehensively, I suppose, and look at it straight down the middle. Look, Akhmadov is a really good wrestler, make no doubt about it. He's relatively good on the feet as well. He's orthodox, but switch stances, good leg kicks and teeps and all, but he's very slow, I would say, and he gets caught in combos an awful lot, eats jabs an awful lot. Not the best defensive fighter. Look, when he gets the fight to the ground, his mat returns are amazing. He doesn't stop when he puts you against the cage. He's relentless. His chain wrestling is absolutely fantastic, but he's very predictable because of how slow he is, I think. Whereas Kelly on the other side of it, let's talk about him on the feet. He's not predictable. You saw his last fight against Sanchez. He was circling and moving all over the place and very loose on the outside. Very, very good. Has a few knockouts in his career and all of that, but you might be kidded into thinking, Nathan Kelly will want to strike with Mamedov here, and he needs to strike with him. I don't think that's the case at all. He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, has been for a while. He's been in certain fights where he takes lads down, hasn't even gotten touched, and beating them and submitting them. I very well could see Nathan Kelly taking him down and using his jiu-jitsu to win the fight here. I think there's going to be a size advantage for Nathan Kelly. I think he's, what was the word I was going to use? He is strong in the clinch to a level where I don't think people know how strong he is in the clinch. Now, Magomedov, can he win the clinch? Absolutely. He's very, very, very good in the clinch. But I don't think it'll be an easy day for him at all. And this price, this is a Merab sort of price. This is way off. Now, I don't think it's as clear as, like, I definitely thought Merab was going to win this fight. Now, I definitely do think Kelly's going to win this fight as well. And that's why you're maybe getting a little bit less of a price. But Nathan Kelly at anything over plus 150, I think is ridiculous. I think that's a ridiculous price. He should be the favourite here. They're already talking about putting him into the tournament. He told me himself that he's going to be in the tournament. So yeah, I love this bet, plus 210, Nathan Kelly to win the fight. One thing I would say as well about when you're looking at a fight like this, it's very easy to look at kind of, again, I'd say the wrestler versus the striker, even though he's definitely not just a striker, no way at all. But we often overlook we could say with a Merab last week, people were overlooking the ability of Merab on the feet, and you think of him as just a wrestler. We often overlook that, whether it's the ground game of a striker or the wrestling game of the ground game of a striker or the striking game of a wrestler. And like, these lads are training mixed martial arts since they were young. Nathan Kelly is a well-rounded mixed martial artist. He's gotten better and better and better all the time. And I wouldn't overlook him, and I wouldn't overlook this plus 210 price either. Right. Bet number 4, if that makes sense. So we've the two parlays. We have Nathan Kelly, and bet number 4. I'm going with Ahmed Sami to win his fight here against Tarek Suleiman. It's twofold, I suppose, here, my reasoning around this. You look at Tarek Suleiman. He's 35 years of age. Ahmed Sami, 30 years of age. But Suleiman, it's a weird thing to say. I don't really like that, but he's had his career. Now, he fought Will Fleury in 2022. It felt like that was going to be one of the big moments of his career if he could get the win. And it felt like he was almost retired after that. He fought last year as well in October 2024. And I don't know if he is, I feel like he kind of got overtook a little bit by Will Fleury and lads like that back then. Like I mentioned Led Zahuri earlier on, he's beaten him, He's been in there with some very, very, very good guys. But I don't know, has the game just passed him by a little bit? And when you look at a guy like Ahmed Sami, he is going to make you pay for something like that. He's a wrestler, and he's, Suleiman is a guy who's always been wrestled. Everyone tries to wrestle him. And I just think it's a real bad matchup for him. Again, as well as, I said this in the previous show, but Sami is like such a really good chin. He can strike as well. So if it turns into a striking match, I don't think Sami is out of it at all. Like really, really, really good cardio. But I think he's going to take Tarek Suleiman down. I think he's going to give him issues. I don't think Suleiman is going to be quick enough to land his shots. He's like, I've always said he's deceptively powerful and sneaky accurate. But I just think the speed might be the thing off with him. The defensive wrestling has always been a problem for him. And I think if Ahmed Sami is smart, strikes him for a little bit, but then takes him down, I think the fight is really, really there for him to win. And I think he will win it. Like, you look at Sami as well. This is his first opportunity in the PFL and fighting out of Egypt. He'll be looking to get into that MENA season, I'm sure, next year. Lost his last fight, won 2 before that. He's been in there with Amir Fazli before, who's obviously fought in MENA. He's beaten Omar Al Dafrawi, as I said a few times. He is, Omar Al Dafrawi, one of the best guys to come out of MENA over the last couple of years. And, that's a fight I could see happening again this year. Very, 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 very well could happen, So we'll, I suppose we'll see on that one. And he needs to win this to get there. And I think he will. I think the price is pretty good as well. Let me just see if there's been any adjustments. No, the best price is minus 218, but everywhere is around that price anyway. So I do like that price on him. Again, if you're trying into a parlay or something, I think this, do you know what? I think this is a really good parlay stuffer. I think it is, because I do think he'll win. And it's a relatively low price at minus 218. Right. Let's get to, are we at the flyer already? Let me just check here. We are. And this is probably the most predictable flyer that you'll get this year. But the flyer is, and this price has changed, but it's best price as we speak, plus 390 for big news Paul Hughes to beat Usman Nurmagomedov, even though it says here on best fight odds that it's Umar Nurmagomedov. I can assure you it's not Umar Nurmagomedov. This price started out at plus 460 and it's come in and in and in the whole time. I would be surprised. I see some places have it here plus 300. I would be surprised if this money isn't taken on Paul Hughes and it's not into plus 250 by the time the fight starts. So I would bet on it now if you're betting on it, plus 390. Look, I think the thing about this is, I hate to go back to the fights from last week, but you look sometimes at a record of a guy and you can be deceived by it, but sometimes it can tell you an awful lot. And I think these two lads' records are a little bit deceiving. I think for Paul Hughes, you might look at it and go, he's only fought AJ McKee. But you look a little bit further back and he fought Morgan Sharia and Jordan Vucinic, both to a 5-round decision. Now, that is a lot of high-level MMA, right? The only thing I would say about the Vucinic one, it was very one-sided. He beat the living schnot out of him. The one before that was a split decision, so that was very close. And he went with James Hinden as well. He fought a long fight to the 3rd round with Aidan Stephen. Those are all very good guys. Like, those are the level of guys you would... let's, for a second, look at Usman. Those are a level of guys, or even more than Luis Muro, Patri Patella, Christopher Gonzalez, Patricky even. Like, if Jordan Vucinic fought Patricky Ferreira now, he would destroy him. He would. So you look at Hughes' record, you think, he hasn't fought that much, but he's fought some good guys. You look at Usman's record, he's fought some good guys. But I actually don't think it is as filled as it looks. Like, okay, Chablis, I think, is a fantastic win. Primus and Henderson, they are what they are, I think. He finished Henderson very quickly, so fair play. tricky. I suppose it is what it is as well. And after that, it's guys on the come up. So it's not like Usman has been. He's 18-0, but it's not like he has been the dominant champion, beating all the best guys in the world for a long time. He hasn't fought Patricio. He hasn't fought AJ McKee. He hasn't fought the best guys in Bellator, apart from Chablis. And I'm not disrespecting Vincent Henderson or Ben Primus or any of them, but he hasn't fought the best guys on the come up, right? Or the best guys at the top. It just hasn't happened, right? So. What I heard Ben Askren talking about Umar. Until you do it, can you do it? And I'd argue that Paul Hughes doing it against AJ McKee is as good, if not better, than him doing it against Chablis or Henderson. So to look at this fight and say, oh, one guy is on a different level to the other guy, that's not fair. Now, that's just a talking point, right? That's more of a talking point than reality. The reality is their ability and how they're going to match up against each other inside the cage. But the other part matters, because if you've never been there, you've never experienced it, it can hurt you. Didn't hurt Paul Hughes the last time, and you're going into something here which is a similarly daunting task, I suppose, to most people. But for the fight itself, if you look at the matchup and you look at plus 390 for Paul Hughes, crazy, absolutely crazy. Like, what is Usman great at? Control. I said it in the previous show. If you want to watch that, please tune into that. But Usman Nurmagomedov is really good at controlling fights, controlling opponents, controlling himself, controlling everything. Whereas Paul Hughes is really good at finding ways around control. Like, it's almost the perfect matchup in that. It's like, this could be a 2-minute preview, honestly, for me, because it's a pretty simple matchup. Who can win the control battle? Will it be Usman Nurmagomedov and he'll control the 5 rounds? Will it be Paul Hughes and he'll take away the control and he'll win 5 rounds or fewer before it's finished? And, maybe if Usman controls, well, he could get the finish, obviously. But that's the thing here for me. And I don't think by any means that that's a foregone conclusion. By any means. That Usman will just go out and he will jab him up or he will take him down or whatever. By no means a foregone conclusion. And you're betting Usman. Well, let me just see the price in Usman. Obviously, Paul is plus 390. Anywhere up to plus 560. Best price plus 450 on Usman. That's craziness. Now, he might win the fight, absolutely. He's a very, very, very good fighter. But that is a crazy, 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 insane line. Absolutely insane. And I'll tell you why. Usman is really good at jabbing guys into oblivion. He's really good at controlling the striking. He's really good at, when he needs a takedown, he can get a takedown. The thing about Paul Hughes, and this is a key for Paul Hughes, he's always on, right? So I feel like the hidden takedown that Usman tries, that is really good against most people. I'm not saying it won't work against Paul Hughes. It absolutely could. But I feel like Paul Hughes is less susceptible to that than most people. I also feel like Paul Hughes, again, the great guy kind of breaking the control, is less susceptible to being jabbed up for 5 rounds than other people. And also, even if he is jabbed up for part of the fight, and when I say jabbed up, I mean, it's not necessarily jabbed up, it's kind of kept on the outside of the jab, right? We have to look at MMA and the way MMA fights work and the way MMA fights are judged, not to always go back to it. But to jab someone and jab someone and jab someone for 4 minutes is all well and good. But if Paul Hughes can get inside and get like a big trip takedown and a few elbows, or if he can get a knockdown, or if he can get a big knee against the cage like he did against AJ McKee multiple times, that'll quickly overtake that 4 minutes or 3.5 minutes of jabbing and control. It really will. So that is the key to this fight, to loosen the control. If Paul Hughes can do that 3 times in this 25 minutes, he could win this fight. That's all he really has to do. Sometimes we look at, you have to win the whole 25 minutes. No, you don't really. You have to win 3 minutes maybe of this fight if Usman fights the way he does a lot of the time, where it's controlling from the outside. Now, maybe if Usman wrestles more and he takes him down and he wins 3 minutes on the ground, okay, that's a different kettle of fish. But his fights don't often play out that way. Don't always play out that way. He's more of a striker. He's more of a control guy on the feet. So let's see. Let's see how it works. Will there be adjustments? Like, will it be a more wrestle-heavy Nurmagomedov here? Look, that in itself is, a weird thing to say. Oh, Nurmagomedov needs to wrestle more. That sounds like a crazy thing to say, but it, could. Will Paul Hughes wrestle more? Will Paul Hughes try to win the jabbing battle and beat him and try to control Usman? Who knows? But one thing is for sure. I said the last time I picked against Paul Hughes, I picked AJ McGee, I said I'm not going to pick against him again. And I refuse. I refuse to pick against him again. I think he deserves a pick here. And I'd be picking for him anyway at plus 390. That's a crazy price. So there we go. Those are the 5 bets for the week. Let's recap them. So 2 parlays. First one for KSW. Paczuski, Tulshaev and Przybysz around plus 150. Around the minus 120 parlay for PFL. Nemkov, Ibragimov, Mitchell and Akhtamov. And then Nathan Kelly. Straight up bet at plus 210. Ahmed Sami, minus 218. And Paul Hughes, the flyer of the week, at plus 390. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please bet responsibly. Enjoy the fights this weekend. They're on Max. PFL is on Max in the United States. And they just announced there this morning that it is going to be on DAZN in Ireland and I believe the UK and a few other places as well. So tune in there to watch the PFL this weekend. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com. Please bet responsibly. We'll see you all next time.